And we are live with the Friday Focus. Hopefully, everybody can hear me loud and clear. And more importantly, I hope you are ready for an awesome weekend. I know we are here. We have so much going on at the store. But before we get into that, I want to welcome my co-host here, Mr. Vrobel. How are you doing today, sir?
I am good, TJ. How are you?
You are doing. Let me bump that up. Let's try that again. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Excellent. Sorry, I had to bring it down right after the intro there, so it wasn't that hard stop. So yes, the Friday Focus, if you've never joined us before, the Friday Focus is where we talk about all the hot goss in the photo industry and all the news. We geek out on like stuff that we really enjoy, but really just to bring to you the photo news. That's stuff that's not usually, on your nightly news. So you can come in here every Friday and find out what's going on in the world of photography. So let's go ahead and jump into our show. We like to start off with our creator of the week. And this week it is Thistle Green Photo. So I love this shot. I love the color. I love the tone. And I love that, that you can find beautiful things like this here in Ohio. So this was in Huron, Ohio. Lived there for quite a few years. So Huron kind of has a special place in my heart. But it's a great piece of Lake Erie. I believe the southernmost point of Lake Erie as well. But I just loved that, like the caption says, totally carefree, making sure the littlest is keeping up. I love this photo. It brought me all the feels. So congratulations to Thistle Green Photo for being our creator of the week. And you too can be a creator of the week. All you have to do is use our hashtag or tag us in the photo. And we look for those every week to be featured on our show. I'd also want to let you guys know that the Talking Pixels podcast does have an Instagram. So follow us over on the IG. Just look for Talking Pixels podcast, and you'll find some BTS stuff and all the updates about the show. So let's go ahead. We're gonna try a little technical marvel here. We're gonna show you what's going on with the tent sale this weekend. So I'm gonna mute myself.
And while TJ's on mute, he's going on a road trip.
That is right. So we are some live footage here from the store on our Pixel Vision camera. You can see that the reps are in the house. Mr. Brian Matsumoto from Sigma is here. He has all of his fun toys. He has all the newest, latest, greatest gear. And guys, just so you know, we have specials. We can't show them on the air because we would get in trouble. But we have specials from all the vendors. Everything is marked down. Again, it's you definitely want to come out. So we'll go ahead and move on here. We'll go down. We got some customers in there. Got to navigate the customers. And we are pulling up to Sony. Sony Barrett from Sony is here with all the latest and greatest from Sony. You can see he has all the coolest gear out, all the newest. Looks like we have the A7C in the store. So if you want to get hands-on with that camera, if you have not pre-ordered that camera yet, come take a look at it. Take a look and see if it is a camera for you. He has all the cameras here from Sony. And again, we are running special deals all weekend. And also, if you've been thinking about trading up your gear, we are doing a 15% bonus this weekend. So you can, what you would normally get, we add 15% to that. So now is the best time. That gear is only going to get lower, and it's only going to be worth lower price in the future. So again, now is the best time to go ahead and do that upgrade and get all that stuff up to date. Or I'm sorry, to trade in. Come see the newest stuff that's up to date and trade in all of your old gear. So I am stalling a little bit as my remote camera moves on to our next person. There we go. And we have Tamron here. So a couple things. Tamron's paying sales tax this weekend. Has a bunch of the gear here for you to take a look at. Again, all the newest stuff they've been knocking it out of the park recently with Sony, and we've talked a lot about it here on the show. But just come out and see the latest and greatest. He has some giveaways too. I believe he has some mugs there to give away, as well as some pins and cool swag. Sigma also has swag. They have cool masks which you've seen me rock before. The Sigma masks are here, so if you need one of those, stop by. And free hand sanitizer. That is available for everybody. So speaking of sanitizer and keeping things clean, we are doing discounted sensor cleanings this weekend. So normally same-day service for that sensor cleaning would be, I believe, $90, and it is down to $40. So again, great savings there if you need your sensor cleaned. And it's a great way to save $40. And I don't know about you, but I really hate the having all those little specks on my all my photos. Like I actually had that happen at a wedding once where I had all these specks like in the photo and I had to remove them. So definitely, sorry, a phone call is coming in, of course. Let me end that for them. It just went black. So we are back. There we go. But yes, so if you have a bunch of those little black spots on your sensor and in your photos, then you definitely want to come in and get that sensor clean. So let me make sure we are getting ready to do something fun. I might have to run out there and help out. If so, I am going to join you guys in the parking lot. I'll let my friend Mike Vrobel give us a preview of just some of the things that we are going to be talking about on the show.
Well, today we're going to talk about the new Sony A7C and its new kit lens and some of the extra software-related stuff that Sony announced to go with it. We're going to talk about a couple new Z lenses, the 50mm f1.2 and the 14 to 24 f2.8 that they just released. And we have Fuji updates. We've got a cute new Apple Watch face that I'll be telling you all about because, yes, I am an Apple fanboy in my spare time. We'll have a few rumors. We have a new segment, the Geek of the Week, where we geek out about some really technical stuff. And then we'll have some inspiration for you, including the Comedy Wildlife Awards, which are worth the price of admission alone. And if you don't like it, we'll refund the money you paid for this podcast. And, okay, I'm done vamping. I may need to do a little soft chew here. Oh, there's TJ. Is he back? He's not back. And I believe we may get a demo of what we're seeing in the background there with the poster. There's a rumor that we're going to be setting off some grenades. No gender reveals that I'm aware of, but we will have to see what TJ's got for us.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Excellent. So we are out in the front of the store. Let me switch the old camera around here. Okay, so there we go. We are back in the show. You can see we do have a tent sale. Wait, who's this guy? Who's this guy? What? Oh, you might know him from one of our other shows.
Maybe.
Out here are my co-hosts for the Talking Pixels podcast, out checking out all of the deals that we have. We're going to go ahead and we also have another little special announcement that we're getting ready to kick off. Let's go ahead and light this thing up, guys. So I'm gonna get enough space here to see. So I don't know. I think last week we kind of talked about it, but we now have smoke grenades. So we are giving you. You're the one. You're the sacrifice.
Oh no.
So we'll get you here. We'll get you kind of framed up. Yeah, here we go. Let's see what kind of smoke this thing creates. Ah.
Yeah.
What? Oh no.
Oh no. Do we have a dud?
We're gonna go try another one.
This is what we get for doing it live.
That's what happens. Exactly. You're doing it live. So, Mike, what haven't you covered yet? We got some rumors going on, right?
Right. Talked about the rumors. Or mentioned that we have rumors. Talked about the Geek of the Week. Rumors including
I'm so
some
excited
really...
for that segment, too, because I feel like we don't get to get our geek on as much, and I feel like it bores the users a little bit, but I feel like there's this demographic of people like us that just love the geekiness of like the camera, like what's actually going on with these cameras. You know what I mean? What's the technical, what's the why behind it? That's what I want to know. That's what I love. So,
and we got a bunch of those this week.
All right. We're gonna try another one. We're gonna try purple.
All right. I've always been a fan of purple.
Let's go. Let's go. We are gonna try to launch here.
The anticipation is killing me.
Yep. There it is. Let's see what we got. Oh yeah, all the purple.
Oh my! Whoa! Oh no! Did I lose my co-host? Oh good, you're there.
So much purple smoke.
That's awesome. A little windy out.
Yeah. So if you're not following him, that is What's Up. I'm Justin on Instagram. So I'm gonna head back in the store here, guys. I will be in my seat in just a minute. I promise.
Oh, we seem to have gone dark while TJ gets back. Whoa, there he is. All right. Sorry for the dead air, everyone. I missed my cue.
Woo! We are getting back into it.
All right.
So back to our normally scheduled programming. So those are coming. Those will be ready for tomorrow. Again, we literally just got them in and unpacked one and didn't really read the instructions. That's why it kind of was sketchy there at the beginning. But I reek of smoke, by the way. So full disclosure, your model might smell like smoke when one of those goes off, but we do have the full line, all the colors here of the Enola Gay smoke bombs. So we recommend that you don't, be safe with these. Even though there's not a flame, there is, it is still a pyrotechnic device. So, that's where the forest fires and stuff were started. So you have to be responsible for these. Also, we have the right to refuse anybody that's going to basically be dumb. I mean, I'm being honest and frank. We are the supplier of these. So if you say that, I'm going to put this under someone's pillow as a prank, we're not going to let you buy it. Like, we will stop that sale. So we just ask that everybody is responsible, because we don't want these things outlawed. That's the thing. It's going to take, one person to do something stupid, and then, we're not going to be able to have them. So definitely excited about having the Enola Gay smoke grenades here in the store. So again, thanks for sticking with us through that little field trip, if you will, and we hope that you do come out. This is Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We have giveaways that are happening. Again, you guys, you've watched the live streams before. All the awesome speakers, and then if you want to know what the speakers are, it is going out on Instagram as we speak. Just an update for all of the speakers for that free education. So let's jump right into today, right into the news. So what is our first little news story here, Mr. Vrobel?
This is the new Sony A7C. It is the world's smallest, asterisk, full-frame camera. The asterisk being full frame with IBIS, because technically the Canon RP and the Sigma FP are still smaller, but they don't have IBIS. It is a 24 megapixel, $1,800 camera with a rangefinder body and a flip-out screen. So think of the A6600 just scaled up a little bit to fit a full-frame sensor.
Right, and spec-wise, it seems like it's the A7 III spec-wise.
Yes, exactly. The only real difference between this and the A7 III, other than the flippy screen, is it has the new, and I want to get the name right, their new real-time tracking focus, which is something they introduced after the A7 III. So that is the one big spec increase, is this tracks as well as the A9 II and the R4 and all the other newer Sony cameras. But other than that, yeah, it's an A7 III in a smaller body.
And for, a lot of people, like the calls that we've been getting a lot of pre-orders for these. And, we asked you, what are you using these for? And we're seeing a lot of people come up from the crop line of cameras into something like this because they wanted that small form factor. They wanted, a small, lightweight camera. Or sometimes, that was their first camera, that in the 6000 series. And this is kind of that natural progression for them. It has the fully articulating screen. It has the mic jack. It has a lot of the video features that they want as a creator, but also for a stills camera, a small, lightweight, travel, full frame camera. I don't think you can go wrong. I mean, you have in-body image stabilization. Again, all the huge lineup of Sony lenses that are available. Again, Sony keeps innovating in this area and, basically listening to creators and saying, okay, you want a flippy screen? Boom. You don't like it with the A7S III, you want to, you want better, the color isn't exactly what you're looking for, here, let's tweak that for you. So I do applaud Sony for listening to their users on this camera. And then things like the ZV-1, people have wanted that pocket, that point and shoot camera, but they wanted to use it for video. And then boom, they released the ZV-1. They now release, the 7C. So again, I love that Sony is listening to their users and putting out cameras that people want to carry around.
Yeah, I agree that this strikes me as a great travel camera or a great B camera. But if I was getting into the Sony lineup, I have to admit I would still probably go for the A7 III first, just because of the ergonomics. The viewfinder on the rangefinder is apparently kind of small, and me with my glasses, it sounds like it wouldn't work as well. And the other thing is it doesn't have the dial on the front of the grip, and I've missed that in the cameras that I've had. So I think it would be interesting to find out what people pick between this and the A7 III, because it's basically the same camera, just different form factors. That also leads to the question of what are they going to put into the A7 IV when that comes out? That feels like, again, that's going to be a pretty killer camera.
Absolutely. We can only assume that they're going to follow down this fully articulating screen line, that they're probably going to push megapixels. It might be some more video codecs. It'll be interesting, to see kind of what that progression is. And in our haste, and I don't know if you had mentioned it or not, but I did want to say hello to a few of our friends. Mr. Jim Summers focused on the weekend in getting some awesome elk shots in PA. That's awesome. Excited for that. Wish you were here. Wish you were in store, but I totally understand. I have this music as my alarm now. Only way to frantically start my day. I love it. I love it. Les Greenberg was in store this morning and then made it home to watch the show. So it was so good to see you in person, Les. I'm glad things are going well for you. Enjoy that ND filter. Picked up the Polar Pro, the Peter McKinnon filters. We have nice. Someone said Tamron Bob, so I don't know if that's Tamron Bob saying Tamron Bob, or if someone was excited to see Tamron Bob was in the house. And then I did buy a little bit of time because I wanted to bring up this comment. Mr. Joey says, hello, first of all, but the 7C is just sad. Now, full disclosure, he is a pretty hardcore Fuji shooter, so I understand it's not the camera for him, but I do want to know, feedback-wise, what don't you like about the A7C? It's interesting to hear, everybody's opinions. So as we talk about this little, this other part, I'm interested to hear what built that, like why are you unhappy with the A7C? So another interesting announcement as part of this was that the A7S III got Ninja support. So that is what they use for raw video. So that was really quick. I know with Panasonic, it took a couple months. Nikon took, I think, almost a year in order to get this. And I think Nikon you have to send out, don't quote me on that. But I think you have to actually send the camera to Nikon to do the firmware update. Sony had it before the actual camera was, in customers' hands. So, cheers to them for doing this. And I think this is one of their first, Sony's first foray into the, to doing the raw video with the Ninja 5. So part of me thinks it might be because it's the 8-bit versus 10-bit. But again, props to Sony again for having this out before, the camera starts shipping. And then they also came out with
just quickly follow up on that. It's an obvious feature for a video-centric camera like this one. So I think they felt it was a must-have, and I'm sure they prioritized it.
Absolutely. And then also they came out with an HEIF to JPEG converter. So that is also available for that camera. The HEIFs are what are normally done with iPhones, and I believe Android started doing that.
Actually, it is now in all of the new Canons too. The R5, the R6, and the 1DX Mark III shoot. I say HEIF I have no idea how you're actually supposed to pronounce it. I guess we have our new GIF kind
I
of
was gonna
thing
say
starting
GIF,
up already.
yeah.
But yeah, the Androids and iPhones have been shooting it for years. The standard came out, from what I could see, back in 2016, I think, and iPhones added it in 2017, and the Android phones followed pretty soon thereafter. The downside being, no current web browser can actually display HEIF files. So if you're going to send them to someone, you got to convert them to something like a TIFF or a JPEG. And I know this from personal experience because my wife's a chemistry teacher. We're going to get into the geek section a little early today. My wife's a chemistry teacher, and this year's AP chemistry test, amongst a bunch of others, because it was social distance, the kids were supposed to take a picture with their phone of the test and submit it to the website. If they were using an iPhone, it uploaded a HEIF file, and the website didn't understand that was a picture. And so they were rejected and told, yeah, you didn't send us a picture of your test, you fail. And this was a huge brouhaha, all because of the format wars here. Yeah, the sad trombone is appropriate. So they fixed it. The kids had to email them converted to JPEG copies because apparently they couldn't figure out how to translate these, which probably doesn't look real good for the AP group. Maybe they needed the Sony software. They could have just dropped them in there and it would have fixed it for them.
Absolutely. And I was reading our so I think we should do a Geek of the Week. So that was my one point I wanted to make. I think we should do a geek article about, breaking down HEIF and then like what, why it's important, if it's important. So I definitely want to do that. Maybe next show we'll find some information about that. So we can educate the users on what exactly those files are and why, why did Apple decide to use those? Why has Android been using them? And let's geek out on that.
I'm ready. I got my notes all lined up.
Perfect. So, Joey, hey, I'm not trolling. I think Sony is great for pushing the envelope and introducing new tech like animal eye autofocus and making great sensors for my Fujis. Just feel that Sony could have put a better EVF on that camera for the price. And he brings up two very, very good points. And that is that EVF, it's not the best at all. And it's really tiny. It doesn't have, it's almost more like a point and shoot EVF than the actual, like a full size, EVF. So it's really compact, small, because they were going for that small form factor and the price. Some people have said it's a little bit expensive for what it is. I think it's priced okay. I mean, with the features, if, me shooting Sony, 4 or 5 years ago, I mean, this would have been a camera that I would have had with me. Absolutely. I mean, this is right up my alley with a fully articulating screen, with the video features, smaller form factor, mic in, all those things. It checks a lot of those boxes. So thanks for your feedback, Joey. Always good to hear some, feedback from a user.
And two follow-ups I want to add to that. Yeah. The other disappointment for it is it's the old menu system. It's not the new, better menu system that came in the A7S3. But I have a feeling that's because it also has the older CPU in it. They're, Bions X or as opposed to the XR, I think. But yeah, I don't think the older processor can support the new menus. The other thing is this makes me wonder about all the rumors we were hearing earlier about an A5. I have a feeling that's going to be an A5C, maybe without even the eyepiece, just straight on flippy screen is the only way to look at the pictures. And that's how they get a true Canon RP competitor. And they're intentionally pricing this one higher because it really is an A7 III specs in that body. They're trying to leave some room on the low end so they can come up with something to compete with the Nikon Z5 and the Canon RP. But yeah, it's a little pricey, but you're getting pretty close to an A7 III for a couple $100 less than an A7 III. So I can kind of see why they priced it that way.
Absolutely. And they don't want to cannibalize that line, I would think, either. So moving right along, we have the new 28-60 coming with that camera. So this is also interesting because there's an asterisk as part of this announcement as well, correct?
Smallest and lightest asterisk Sony FE mount lens.
I gotta love it. I will give it to Sony for their marketing. Always top notch.
Yep. Asterisk,
so yes,
double asterisk, dagger, double dagger, see footnote 3.
Exactly. Actually, it looks like it's footnote 4 on this one.
Oh, sorry.
But it is a 28 to 60 lens. This is the new kit lens that's coming out. This small, compact, almost pancake lens that's coming out for the A7C. Again, they want to keep it as a small, lightweight kit. It's not. I mean, it's not really a lens to write home about, but a nice, small, compact 28 to 60. I don't think it's a bad thing.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's a kit lens, so no, it isn't all that exciting. And frankly, the new Panasonic 20 to 60 is the one that gets me excited because I like the extra wide end. But that said, Sony did need to replace their old kit lens. It just has a bad reputation for sharpness, and this one, all the reviewers have said, is very sharp. So they seem to have fixed whatever issues they were having with the old. I think it was a 28 to 70. So this is obviously the kit lens to get if you're buying into the Sony system now. And I really do love the compact, like you said, almost pancake form factor. You have to extend it to actually start using it, but it looks like a great fit with the new smaller A7C body.
Absolutely, and they did make it. I'm looking at these focus distance too. 0.99 of a foot or 0.3 meters, and the 1.48 for telephoto. Like they say, good for vlogging too. I mean, you don't need anything crazy for vlogging. So if it's something really quick, you need to pop it out.
I think it's a little too. It's not wide enough for vlogging.
You don't think the 28 is?
Vloggers seem to go with the 16 to 35 and want somewhere between 16 and 20, and 28 seems like it's going to be a little tight. But I'm not a vlogger, so I can't say for sure.
We'll do some hands-on testing too with the when it does come in, just to give you an idea for that kind of what that dimension is. What does 28 look like? But I don't think it's too bad for a kit lens.
Yeah, it's a kit lens. What you gonna do?
So what is not a kit lens are these two bad boys. So what do we got here?
The Nikon Z 50mm f1.2s and the 14 to 24 f2.8s zoom. And as we said when the rumors were hot and heavy last week about these are two obvious lenses for the Z mount system. They needed these to fill in some gaps in the lineup. And the 50mm f1.2 is a usable wide aperture Z lens, unlike the knocked, the f.95 manual focus. You're never going to get anything in focus at manual, at f9.5 unless you get really lucky. I would rather have this f1.2 with eye autofocus any day of the week, especially if I'm working in a professional situation. Also, this is that 1.2. This is they're using that huge Z mount. They're taking advantage of that with this lens. So it feels like they had to get these into the lineup, and good for them for adding more to the Z mount lineup.
Absolutely, and I mean it's definitely that about time. I mean Nikon users have been clamoring for native glass, so it's exciting to see them continue on. Couple things about the lenses. Positive. So these are kind of my thoughts on this. Great lenses had to happen. But what I really like about this 14 to 24, if you noticed on the top there's actual there's threads on that. So even though it's a more bulbous lens, you can put normal screw-on filters or a filter kit on there. Whereas other lenses are you have to get this like whole contraption thing, and they're not cheap to put your square filters on there, or there's not really a good way to put on your screw-ins. So it's great to see that Nikon is, just on the lens hood there, have figured out a way to get the filter threads on there. And then secondly, why did they put the OLED little display things on there? Who's asking for that?
Yeah, I think because it's cool. That's the only reason I can come up with. Right. I did want to say one other thing about these lenses. They are pricey. I mean, these are pro lenses and they're priced like it. But Nikon has a reputation for their supplies being slow, even in times when we aren't dealing with a pandemic. And a lot of the Nikon shooters I follow online say, order now, figure out if you want it later. So if you don't want to be waiting and waiting and waiting for this lens to get in stock, might be a good idea to get your order placed, especially with your friends over at Pixel.
Absolutely. And we are starting to take pre-orders for these bad boys. And yes, I mean, they're going to be hard to get. I mean, there's no doubt in my mind. Nikon has been slow. A lot of vendors have, but Nikon specifically, it's been tough to get some products. So if you're interested in it, let us know. We don't take, won't take any money for the pre-order. Just let us know if it's something that you are interested in, and we can get that on the list for you. Moving right along, exciting stuff here. Firmware updates for the XT4, the XT3, the XT2, the XT1, the XH1, the X Pro 3, the X Pro 2, the X Pro 1, the XC3, the X20, the X30, the X472. So, and honestly, so there was some general bug fixes, but also support for that new 50 that I cannot wait to get here. If you haven't watched our video on the 50, you have to go watch it. I am so excited for that lens. But yes, so some updates did go out, and amen, props to Fuji for going all the way back to the X Pro 1 and the XT20 line. I mean, the XT2, all these older cameras are still getting bug fixes. They're still getting updates for new lenses. So again, props to Fuji for putting this out there.
Yeah, and one of the bug fixes I found out when I'm a sucker for this stuff. I know I should wait on firmware updates, but I've been a Fuji user for a long time, and their updates have been pretty solid. So I tend to go with them sooner than I should. That is day one. But the one thing I noticed is the webcam software that was also updated, and this firmware. My Fuji X-T4 is now charging itself from my computer while I am shooting this live stream, and that's not something it was doing a week ago. So that must have been one of the bug fixes. They got the power sorted out. So good for Fuji. And in Fuji, Sony, looks like Canon nowadays, they figured out these are computers that happen to have lenses you can attach to them. So keep the updates coming. As long as the CPU in it can handle it, you can keep improving the camera. It'll be better than the day you bought it. And again, props to Fuji for constantly pushing that.
Absolutely. And the new webcam software, let's talk a little bit about that because you installed it. I have not yet installed it. I'm going to do a video on the process. So what, how is it? What's different? What's new?
So it lets you change your film profiles while it's running. I am trying to switch myself. I don't know if you can tell. I am currently in Eterna Cinema. Let me go to Bleach Bypass, see if we get a neat. Yep, nope, it doesn't seem to be. I think I have it set manually in the camera, so it's not letting me change. We'll try black and white because that'll be, oh, well, there we go. So I am now coming to you in Acros with a green filter and sepia toned, and that way I can look all old-timey and stuff. It also lets you control some other features like exposure and autofocus and color temperature from the screen on your computer. I used to have to unplug my camera from the computer, change the settings, and plug it back in again because it would be locked in once you're in there. Because Fuji is actually playing a trick to get this to work. The camera thinks it's tethering, so it thinks it's connected to Capture One like it usually is for me when I'm using it for photos, and all the controls at that point are inside of Capture One, and I can change them and take pictures from my computer. And Fuji is pushing their software forward again to improve the features available for tethering, which is good, especially for me and hopefully for you if you're enjoying this live stream, because that's how I make it work.
Absolutely. And I can't wait to just have autofocus and not have to do the plug unplug. It's usually, I get all situated and then someone comes and gets me locked in with settings and everything. And it'll just be nice to be able to do it on my own. So amen to that. And I will try it with, I have an X Pro 2 and an XH1 at home. So I will be trying it for those cameras as well to see how well they work with it. Did we have any updates for any of the non-interchangeable lens cameras? Did you hear?
I did not see any for that. So I think the 50 f1.0 was what drove this primarily. And so if you have a non-interchangeable lens camera, it's no need for the update. Yep.
Update's coming soon. So Xi Optics. So this is a new one. It is a Speedmaster 17 millimeter f.95, and this is made for Micro Four Thirds. So again, to remind you, Micro Four Thirds is not dead. We
dead
have
yet.
new lenses coming out. So this would be like a 35 equivalent, 34 equivalent, but it's like a 35, but it's an f.95. So again, Bocalicious, and I can't imagine it's as expensive as the Nikon 0.95, correct?
No, it can't be. And the Speedmasters have a great reputation. I think this is a really good lens. Again, like I was complaining earlier, though, if you can live with the manual focus, and you have more depth of field with Micro Four Thirds, so I think it's more usable in that format. But personally, I'd get the widest autofocus lens I could, but that's just me. I know there are people out there that love these manual focus lenses, and this will be a good one for them.
So I wonder, is that 17 millimeters, so 35 equivalent, is that too telephoto for Astro, do you think?
No, I mean, 35 is actually a it's a pretty good astro width. I think astrophotographers usually want more because they want to get a lot of the landscape and, as much of that sweep of the Milky Way as they can. But I mean, I've shot some astro in the past with a 35 millimeter because it was the widest lens I owned at the time, and it did a pretty good job. So yeah, this would probably be a decent one for that.
I know I shot some with the X100V last month about this time. And I mean, I made it work. It wasn't as good as my, using the wide angle stuff. But I could definitely see where on a Micro Four Thirds, if you're letting in that much light, I think I could see where a astrophotographer might want something like this if they're on Micro Four Thirds, letting as much light in as possible. Moving right along, you were excited about this one. And I know a lot of people online are excited about that as well.
TJ, I'm not seeing the slides.
There we go.
And Les just told us the same things. Yeah, there we go.
There we go. And you were excited about this one.
Yeah. So I don't know about you guys out there, but my phone has become a critical part of my photography. I am constantly using photo pills to figure out where's sunset going to be, when's golden hour, when's blue hour, that kind of thing. And with the new version of iOS, there's an app called Lumi, Lumy, that not only does all of that, but it does it on your wrist. I now have a watch face on my phone that unfortunately, when I take it off, it locks on me, so I don't think it's real visible, but there's a picture of it on the screen there where it shows it will show you when's golden hour, where is sunrise coming, where is sunset coming. It's got a little compass in the very middle that is live, and it'll constantly tell me which way is north. I just have to look down and spin around in a circle. It's a lot of the things I use photo pills for on my wrist, just waiting there for me. So I thought this was just a really cool gadget. If you're the kind of gadget hound like me who already has an Apple Watch, go look up this Lumi app and get it installed. Absolutely. The only tricky part is you have to install the app on your phone and then dig into the settings to add the watch face to your watch, which was a little convoluted, but just dig through the settings part. You'll find it in there.
So now, does this act as a native watch face then, or is it an app on the watch?
It is a native. These are what are called complications, which are apps running in that face. And with my Apple Watch, what I can do is I can run multiple faces. And again, I wish I could have my wrist so you could see it. But if I swipe, I can have, I have my regular day-to-day face, but I've always kept the solar face as one of the alternatives that I can swipe to find out when sunset, because that matters for photography. Now I have a whole face dedicated to that I can just swipe to whenever I need it. So swipe one way, look at the photography face, swipe back, and I'm with my normal watch.
And I think it's what, like $6? This app, $5-6?
Yeah, I think it was $4.99 when I checked. I want to say it was $2.99 when I bought it a week ago, but I think maybe being promoted by Apple got them to bump the price up a little. Yep. But again, in my day job, I'm a software developer, so I'm willing to pay for software. I know some people are really twitchy about that, but to me, from growing up back in the day where it's Microsoft Office costs, $500 for a license and $5 for software. Yeah, sure, I'll pay for that.
Absolutely. Very cool. Might make me upgrade. I'm on the Series 2, so I might have to upgrade to this bad boy.
Yeah, it might be time.
So let's see what is going on in the old rumor roundup today. This is a lot of our viewers. This is their favorite section of the show. So it looks like we have a new cinema camera that's coming, and it's rumored to have the RF mount, correct?
Yes, and that unfortunately is the only part of the rumor that I remember. But I don't know where the C70 fits in their lineup. I'm used to C100 being the low end. Is there like something less than that, like a C50 normally?
Yeah, so they have this interesting, two interesting products. One was like an all-in-one cinema camera, so it was a lot like the FZ line, like the FZ 1000 or the FZ 2500, and it had a few of the cinema features. And then they also have an EF version of, think of it like the Rebel version of the 5D line. There's also a cinema line. They do the same thing. So it has like a little tilty handle on it, but it's not this big. It's more like this big. It's a little bit smaller. So I think that's where this falls in line. But I don't, like, to me, I don't think they're going to target this at the lower end. I think this is going to be the C100 replacement almost. Because, I mean, looking at all the buttons on the side, if this is the actual camera, this is C100 styling. I own a C100, and this is what you would see. On the previous versions, it was very dumbed down. It was very much like Rebel controls. So I think this is going to be a replacement almost. And again, rumors are fun because none of us are right or wrong. You know, we have no idea. But I could see this being the entry-level cinema camera that, you know, that they're going for. I mean, people will, you know, they love the R5 for what it can do for video, but it's still not a cinema camera. It doesn't have all the tactile buttons like we see on the side. You can see this one actually has a fan, you know, on the side where it can pull that heat out. It has built-in ND filters, which we see here. So again, this is going to be made for video. It's not going to be a hybrid camera. It's going to be like, I don't even know if my C100 can take stills. So again, I think that this is a replacement for that.
Yep.
For sure.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, if anything, this looks like, you know, is this their answer to the Panasonic S1H? Because I'm used to C100s looking boxier, and this looks more like a really wide DSLR, something about it, but with like a grip on the side, which I'm not used to in the C100 line. But again, I'm not as familiar with that line as you are. So I may just be seeing things in, you know, this one leaked photo that aren't there. Right. Seeing ghosts.
And it looks like we have two inputs. So I'm assuming, you know, built-in inputs, which it would then have a one-up on the S1H. So, I mean, if they can pull off 6K, if they can get the dynamic range out of it, then this could be our new leader for Netflix certified cameras. The S1H right now is I believe the smallest, lightest weight, most affordable S1 or Netflix approved camera. So this might become the new go-to dock style camera, especially if they can roll in like IBIS and stuff for this. I mean, that would be, I feel like that would be huge.
Yeah. And another, again, statement of purpose, RF mount is where we're going. Get on board if you want to get new glass.
Absolutely. 2 RF L-mount lenses are rumored for 2021. What type of lenses are these, Mr. Frobel?
Yeah, so these are weird. So we do rumors, and it was kind of a slow week, so I put this one in there. But the Canon Rumors guy says Canon Watch had a source that said these were coming, but they are a 250 millimeter f2 and a 500 millimeter f2.8. And Canon Rumors is skeptical, and I'm skeptical because the 200 f2 is, I mean, everybody loves that lens. Why would you go to 250? Why not give the RF mount to that 200 f2 that everybody already knows and loves? And the 500 f2.8, everyone else is doing a 600 f2.8 as their serious wildlife and sports photographer lens. Why only 500? So this is a rumor, but I don't buy this one.
And I feel like they're doing like they're just trying to take advantage as much as possible of the that RF mount, because if you look at like they did the 15 to 35 and they made it stabilized. So they could have just come out with the 16 to 35, but they went a little bit, a little bit wider, not by a lot, but and then you have like the 28 to 70, but they made it in f2. So I wonder if that's where they're just looking at these new lines. I mean, the reason that there's a 200 f2 is because Canon said, we're going to put out a 200 f2. So they're used to being the ones that kind of set pace, I think. And this is me just thinking through this. I wonder if 250 is the new. I mean, are they targeting a different group? I don't know. I know Jen had talked about, Jen Stitt had mentioned, they use that lens. But I wonder if, they are doing, just trying to get more out of it and setting that. Also a couple corrections here. We have Mr. Joey and Jim. They're following along. They are both f4 lenses. So just a clarification there. Good call. And then
so that would be interesting then. That would be instead of a 400 2.8, which seems to be the 2.8 standard, they would be pushing an extra 100 millimeters onto it. So again, I'm still skeptical of this, but yeah, it makes a lot more sense if you actually get the numbers right, which I didn't.
It's all good. That's why I love that we have the listeners here. They're keeping everything on the up and up here. I swear, all these manufacturers, and they all kind of come together sometimes. It's a lot to keep track of. So it'll be interesting to see what comes out. I'm excited. Either way, I'm excited for new RF lenses. I know what Canon can do with their imaging with their lenses. I think it's going to just, again, set the pace for, and push all the other brands to do the same. So moving on. So this one's interesting. So Fuji has registered a new camera in coming October 16th. Yes, I'm excited for that, just because it's new gear to play with. But this is coming out of nowhere to me. They just have the XT4, which was a great launch. It's interesting that they have another camera, right away after that. I feel like it's early for the XT40. If they do an XT40, I was thinking that it might be something on the lower end, maybe like entry level end.
Interesting. Yeah, because so my thoughts are, my guess would be the XT40 or maybe an XE4, because the XE3 is getting very long in the tooth. Because they usually do follow up the new XT single digit line, like the XT3, with the XT30 with similar specs and a smaller body not too long thereafter. The one thing I want to throw out, though, is there was an earlier rumor that I don't think we talked about on the show that I saw, because I read every Fuji rumor that comes along, that said Fuji has two new cameras in the pipeline, and one is going to be the XT40 or XE4 replacement, but the other one is a new body style. That is something they haven't released before, so it wouldn't be in addition to one of the existing lines. It would be something entirely new. So, I'm really excited at the thought of, well, what else does Fuji have up their sleeve? The X Pro 3 was a very divisive camera, but they had a plan for what it was supposed to be, and they did it. And I'm curious if, Fuji's got another surprise coming. All that said, you're probably right. This probably is a new low-end camera, especially with the rip-roaring deals they've been having on the XA7. I wouldn't be surprised if the XA8 is on tap here.
Absolutely. Either way, I can't wait for October. It's going to be an interesting fall. Rumor, new Sigma 105 f2.8 FE and L will be announced by the end of the month. I guess, is this a big deal? First of all,
well, of course, another lens for the L mount alliance is always a big deal, but it is something that I didn't look through their lineups, but the 100-2.8 is actually a macro. I was wondering why it was so wide, and this was one of the original art macros that made Sony's name, or I guess made them known, their statement of purpose. We aren't just a third-party manufacturer. We can compete with the big boys with our glass. And this is one of the lenses that they use to show that with their art lineup. And bringing it, I'm hoping, with what they've done with some of their newer lenses, where they shrink them to be mirrorless compatible, as opposed to just, essentially an extender welded onto the end. I want to see what they're doing with this lens. They may be doing something new and interesting and smaller and mirrorless specific. That said, I mean, the Sony 90 macro is legendary, and I don't know what else is available in the L mount, but this feels like this is probably a duplicate. But yeah.
I was gonna say, and here's my thoughts. Number one, I love that there's gonna be more L mount lenses for those users, especially with cameras like the S5 coming out, and there's more and more things coming out for that. So, amen. I think this will be the first. Don't quote me, but I think this is one of the first native lenses outside of Leica that will work for L mount. So that's exciting. So I think that's part of the news here, that macro shooters can now jump over to and not have to worry about adapters and all that stuff.
So native macro lens, you mean?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, for the L mount. There might be something in Sigma and Leica, but I don't think any of the macro lenses were brought over on the Sigma.
I don't think I've seen one yet. Unless did they do the 70? They might have done the 70.
I would have to check. I don't think so. And then also even on the Sony side, we had a customer today that was looking at the 90mm macro from Tamron, which is a great lens, but it's only out for the A mount. So you'd have to do A to E, or you would have to do EF to E if you want that. If you don't want to get the 90mm macro from Sony, like, this gives people more opportunity, other lens options that they don't have to necessarily adapt. So, I do think it is this is something that will sell well for them, especially at this focal length, that 105, that line, kind of longer telephoto with, if you will, of macro. So,
Agree.
Cool. The Geek Out of the Week. So this is a new segment that we are adding, where we find a super geeky article that excites us personally. We try to find a plethora of things that will entertain you guys, that kind of fits your needs and what you're looking for. That's why we try to do Canon, Nikon. So we try to get like a more generalized news. These are articles that we think are really cool. So I'll let you go ahead and kick off with the heat emission test.
Yeah, so lens rentals, as I have said before, I love their teardowns. They've been reading the same things we have about the R5 overheating, so they decided to do their own tests. But they have access to industrial thermometers. So the pictures you see on the screen are, I think, essentially infrared heat signatures of the R5 after it's been shooting 8K and the heat warning went off. They ran it, and it showed exactly what everybody thought it would show, is the processor on this camera gets ripping hot when it is shooting video, especially the higher end videos. And they combined that with what they figured out from their teardown, and they said they're speculating, and speculation is always risky, but the R5, from what they can see, was designed to be watertight. Canon wanted to make sure it was as durable as possible. And unfortunately, the laws of thermodynamics say that if you're watertight, you don't have a lot of airflow, and that means the heat doesn't have anywhere to go. So Canon, their guess, and my guess, is Canon made an intentional design choice to make it waterproof, and then maybe didn't think through what the heat of the high-end video would cause. And also, jumping back to our earlier topic, maybe that's why that C70 is coming, so they can get a camera with a big fan built into the back that doesn't have to be waterproof.
100%.
Anything for you on this one?
No, I think it's just cool to see like an actual graphical. I tend to be a more visual person, so it was cool in that article to actually see like the heat and where it lives. And again, they're so geeky over there, the Lens Rentals crew. This is the third week in a row I think we've featured something from them, but they do some really, really cool stuff on the technical side. So very cool. And then moving on, Filmic Pro updates and adds clean HDMI output to the iOS and Android devices. So if you haven't seen or heard of Filmic Pro, this is basically a way for you to have manual control over your camera on Android and iOS, and it allows you to change frame rates. It's probably the most technical specifically for video out there, but they also do third-party controls for things like the DJI handheld Osmo. They do a couple other accessories, but they're kind of baked in to communicate with them. So now you get clean HDMI out from your phone. So if you wanted to go out and do a live stream or do something like we're doing here, we could literally just set up a couple iPhones and bring in that HDMI signal directly to a board like the A10 Mini Pro that they're showing here. And then a Ninja 5 like they're showing, that's your display monitor. So now what would usually be like a 6-foot table to now be, you could fit it into a small case. So really cool that now if you, let's say you don't have a second camera, but you want that second angle, now you can, just bring the HDMI out right from the phone. Like on Android, it'd be USB-C to HDMI and then run it directly in. Or if you have cameras laying around or old phones laying around, you can use those to connect. So I was excited for this. I am a Filmic Pro user, so I just have to download the update, and now I have an extra camera. So I'll probably play around with that this coming week, and we might actually bring that into the show next week in order to do that. So yeah, that's my geeky live video goodness, if you will.
Yeah, and I have to think that this is Filmic's response to the pandemic and everybody wanting a webcam, and especially if you've got a crappy 720p webcam in your laptop, why can't I use this fantastic camera I've got on my phone as my webcam? Now you can, as long as you have something like the A10 Mini or the Camlink from Elgato to route that HDMI into a USB and make it understandable to your computer. So good on Filmic.
And if you are looking for any of those devices, we have this iCan one. It's great. It does HDMI into USB. It looks like a little thumb drive for like $80. So again, if you need anything like that, or we carry the full line of A10. So if you're looking to do something like this, just reach out to the store. Let us know.
Oh, so you guys have those in stock? They were always hard to find back when the pandemic really kicked off. So
yeah. So when it last checked, I think we have 7 more of the iCans, and I think 1 of each of the ATEMs. But the ATEMs fly. So as soon as we get them in, I swear they go. So let's go ahead. We're coming up to the end. We have about 4 minutes left. So let's go through these education tutorials block super quick. We had that field trip at the beginning, and I want to be mindful of people's times. So the Comedy Wildlife Awards.
This was my favorite thing of the week. I've watched the videos. I've watched multiple videos that people have put up on YouTube about this. I've gone and voted. I voted for the photobomb giraffe on the left, but it's killing me because there is a grumpy gorilla in there that is hilarious. And I love the bird giving the other bird the hand and saying, yep, you're done. And just go to this website, scroll through their entries, just some of the funniest pictures I've seen in a while.
Very cool. Very cool. Amateur photographer, why these pros are sticking with Olympus. This was a really cool article, and I feel like we're, especially with all the news and everything, we cover mostly news. So, in that news, they were sold, Olympus was sold, and then we're watching the market, and we're seeing, take a little downturn when Micro Four Thirds. But in reality, this article was great because it's why there's some of the top pros sticking with Olympus or Micro Four Thirds as a medium. And, I was talking to actually Les today about that. He said, the G9 does everything I want it to. I mean, the S5 is cool and all, but why would I want to leave the G9? It's the right balance of, distance and size and quality. I mean, they still fit a need. So this was a nice uplifting article on, why these pros are sticking with it. And what it comes down to is it meets their needs. They can achieve what they want with these cameras. And one of our presenters Sunday is one of the Olympus ambassadors, Tracy. And that's who my wife and I go to for our photos. And I don't look at it and be like, I don't know if I can go to you anymore. You use Olympus. No, like she creates wonderful works of art, and we, I don't care what camera she's using. If she can do what she does with that camera, amen to you. And that's what this article, a lot of it was about, was, it does everything they want it to do. The weather sealing, the image stabilization, the autofocus. There was a lot of pros for sticking with Olympus and not abandoning it.
Right. Once again, we're not dead yet. And the Olympus sensor, 20 megapixels, it's good enough for the majority of even working pros. And a lot of the working pros seem to be wildlife or sports photographers who love the extra reach you get from the long Olympus lenses, but want it lighter and more durable. And like you said, the autofocus is fantastic. The image stabilization is fantastic. Olympus makes a really compelling camera if you need light and a long reach. And there are a lot of people who don't want to give that up and are professing their love of Olympus to try to keep it going.
Absolutely. 546 megapixel Astro Mosaic. What? 540 megapixels? And it took how long?
336 hours of total exposure time. This is apparently a robotic camera that the company that is showing this Mosaic sells. So it is 208,000 photos that were stacked into 168 images. And then those 168 stacked images were stitched together into this 554 megapixel panorama. So you can zoom in and zoom in and zoom in on any part of this picture, and you can keep going forever and see what they were able to produce. Yeah.
And Summers, you're definitely going to have to step up your Astro game. I know you're going to be going out this week and trying for, I believe we have one more month. This month and next month is really the last couple for the Galaxy to be showing. The my mind's going blank. The
Milky Way, the core.
Milky Way. There we go. The Galaxy. Good God. But again, this is just phenomenal that these companies are out there doing it. I'm thinking this is more scientific, but cool nonetheless. So Joey had a couple comments here. Have to hand it to Canon for really pushing in a new territory with those lenses they announced. But then, like he had said regarding the previous, I always say if full frame is a V8 and APS-C is a V6, Micro Four Thirds is like a Turbo 4. More than enough most of the time and more efficient. Jim Summers, yeah, I could do that if I had a crazy supercomputer to process it. I know, even just processing a few stacks takes forever. So yeah. Very cool article.
He's actually talking about to get geeky again, the Cray supercomputer, the one that has a bench on it. If you've ever seen
I thought he was trying to be like young and hip and being like, if I had a Cray.
Yeah, if you've ever seen the movie Sneakers, it's the one that they sit on when they're talking about the good and evil towards the end.
Wow, Geek Out right there. I consider myself a geek. I even own a few domain names that say geek in the title. I'm not even that geeky. Good God, that might be nerd territory there. I don't know. And I wanted to let you guys know as we wrap the show, we do have the Pixel Photo Fest is live. So we've been starting to work on that. So you can head over to pixelphotofest.com to reserve your spot there. And as soon as we are done with the, right now we were focusing on the tent sale, the end of the summer sale, which is going on this weekend. But we're going to start pushing forward with the Pixel Photo Fest and getting all that information out to you guys. But definitely register now for your spot. Also, if you want a little bit more education, you can head over to our YouTube channel. It is chock full of content from previous live streams we've done to special edition videos like the hands-on with that 50 f1.0. There's a ton of first look videos on there as well. If you want to be in store for some classes, get some hands-on learning from 6 feet away, we do have a full lineup of classes. The October ones are getting added also this week. So again, we're trying to keep that education flowing for you guys so that way you guys can grow as creators. also, another way to grow is with your fellow camera geeks. So we have a couple user groups. I need to add one because we actually added the Astro Photography group, the Northeast Ohio Astro Photography group. That is out there. But yeah, if you are a Lumix user, an Olympus user, a Fuji user, Astro photographer, then join our groups. We have challenges each and every week that we put out there. So just come hang out with your fellow camera lovers or your subject matter lovers and talk shop. That's what those are there for. If you were looking for the slides for today, you can head over to thepixelconnection.com and click on the little register or the sign up for email updates, and then we will be sending all the links from today's episode out at 6 o'clock. So we hope to see you guys in here this weekend. Wow. This weekend as we do our tent sale, our end of the summer extravaganza, if you will. If you have any questions about that, you can feel free to reach out at sales@thepixelconnection. Reach out and follow everything on Instagram. We are doing a bunch of stories and stuff about this weekend, or just give us a call if you need something. Again, some amazing deals on services as well as hard goods. And all that talk about our weekend sale, it's time for me to focus on the weekend. Mr. Vrobel, where can people find you online?
My food photography and writing are at dadcooksdinner.com, and I am at dadcooksdinner on most of the socials.
Excellent. I feel like you should pick up some of these smoke grenades for some of your food photography. Really spice it up. You know what I mean? These are micro ones. They're small. Okay, so I'm going to...
Cooking for the apocalypse.
Look how... I mean, this is pretty intense. I mean, it looks like... let me get autofocus here. I mean, it looks like an actual, like... You pull the pin and throw the grenade. Like,
whoa.
It's pretty legit.
Should I be worried about whether you're actually going to survive for us to have an episode next week?
I know, right?
That's being waved around.
I still reek of smoke. But yeah, these will be available as of tomorrow for all of your fun portrait, landscape, whatever, just to play around with. And again, be responsible. I'm going to get off here. If you guys need anything from me, you can find me on Instagram @_TJ Houston, or just do a Google search. You'll find me there. Thank you, everybody, for watching, and I hope you have an awesome weekend. We'll see you.
Bye, everybody.